of people asked how exactly people are pulling off this fake wealth thing. So here's the $95 an hour mansion. This one's $175 an hour. I mean, not gonna lie, I'm tempted. Now we can get a 2020 bikini for $1,500 for a few days, or a G-Wagon for $399 a day, or we can get the classic bikini urus for $100 an hour. We're gonna rent an outfit, and to be clear, I don't actually have a problem with this. I do think it's a really good sustainable option. I'm just showing you guys how it fits into the equation. Now we're gonna get our jet. Yeah, I want the executive jets. This one was $79 an hour. Now we're gonna get some shopping bags off of eBay, go down to Rodeo, make it look like we had a little designer shopping spree. Now to clarify, this stuff was not created with the intent that people were gonna use it this way. A lot of it is just straight up movie sets that people figured out they could do this with. And the point of these videos is not to make fun of anyone. It's because a lot of people go online, you see people having, and then your dream gets smashed. I've seen people stack up 3-4 in a luxury apartment, each paying $3,000 a month for rent, and then crying over their student debt.
In a world where consumerism drives much of our daily lives, finding the line between your basic necessities and your wants are becoming much blurrier. As humans, we have basic necessities to survive: food, shelter, water, clothing, and healthcare. And those are essential for maintaining a good quality of life and health. However, the modern society that we live in, that is heavily influenced by social media, continues to sell us that affordable luxuries are now part of our daily necessities, and even sometimes rare luxuries have become a part of our life necessities. And when we start to add affordable luxuries and rare luxuries as part of our baseline necessities for living, we're in trouble. This shift in perception, especially for young adults who are just starting to earn money, trying to build and create a life for themselves, has led to a culture of overconsumption, debts and cycles of debt, and overall financial instability. We are confused as to what normal life should look like and feel like. Understanding the differences between our needs in life and our wants in life is imperative to living a life of content, where we're not always striving for more and trying to accumulate more. It would help us to balance the way we live and prioritize finances in the way that it matters, and aim towards financial freedom and financial success. Hello everybody, and welcome back to my channel. And if this is your first time here, hello, welcome. This is Sensual Patience and I Am Patience. And on this channel, we have conversations about society's impacts on our lives and our finances, and how we can take back that power to make more intentional decisions for ourselves and live more intentional life. And if that sounds good to you, subscribe to my channel, stick around, and ring the notification bell so you do not miss out on any of my future videos. Also give this video a like, because we're going to be discussing the topic, your wants are not your basic necessities. What are your basic necessities? We're not just going to go through the hierarchy. I think it was called something hierarchy, where at the very top is like actualization, and then once you reach a certain part, you can really start to be creative. And that's not the details that we are going to base on. We're just going on life, everyday life living. As human beings in the 21st century, what are our basic needs? Starting with food. Everybody needs food to live. You can't live without food for 3 weeks. You can't live without water for 3 days. I think that's about the time when you start to exit this part of the world. Food and water is very important. Shelter is also very important. Especially live in a country where we have different seasons. In the winter time, it gets super cold. In the summertime, it's super hot. So shelter is very important, and just a place as your home base and to call your home, to come to and to relax. Shelter is just really important. Clothing, I'm talking about appropriate clothing for the weather, to wear appropriate attire for the summer. In the winter time, to be able to have jackets, scarves and gloves, heavy boots, just to help keep you warm as you go into the inclement weather. Access to healthcare is also very important, knowing that if something happened, we'll be able to go to the hospital, and affordable healthcare is imperative. Now, we live in a country where healthcare is not very affordable, even when you have health insurance, but that is considered a basic necessity for the world we live in. Everybody's going to get sick at some point. It's not about if, it's more about when, and we're going to need health care at some point in our life. So that access is imperative. And last but absolutely not the least is education and employment. We all want employment opportunities and educational opportunities to advance in our knowledge, gain skills, and be able to use said skills to get a job that will be able to pay for a decent standard of living. I think that's considered basic necessities. And sometimes it feels like we don't have that access to education, especially higher education is so expensive. Getting employment, we are currently in a very hard job market that just seems seems challenging, where people are even putting in, say, 200 applications and not even getting a call back. It's hard out here. And throughout history, these essentials have largely remained unchanged. However, modern society has gradually redefined the concept of necessities, expanding to include items and experiences that would have otherwise considered luxuries. But because we're on social media and we see everybody doing it, it just seems like I should be doing it too. This is basic. This is not a luxurious experience. I should be able to go on 5 vacations per year, even though 20 years ago, most people were lucky to go to maybe 1 or 2 vacations with their family per year. So let's move into the topic of the misclassification of necessities. In the 1900s, middle-class Americans lived relatively modest lives. With a modest-sized home, these were mostly smaller. The average square footage of a house back in 1970 was about 860 square footage versus now it has more than tripled to over 2,400 square footage. Families shared cars or relied on public transportation, and dining out was a rare treat. Today, modern standards of living include large homes, multiple cars, high-end electronics, designer clothes, and frequent vacation, none of which are essential for survival, but are now perceived as a standard for normal life. Marketing firms and social media has played a large role in making this shift of normal life become a reality. Starting with luxury as a standard. Nowadays, we see things like designer purses, clothes, luxury vacations, and we somehow think that is the norm. Marketers promote high-end goods and services as affordable necessities, convincing customers that they need the latest smartphone, premium skincare, or luxury fashion in a complete life. And even when it comes to makeup is becoming more high-end. Designer and celebrity skincare, a lot of celebrity brands more and more going on the high-end. People think that because that's their fave, they need to buy it, and they should be. That's something you should be able to do in normal life. The next I see is subscription culture. Don't you all have like subscription overload? I see this all the time when people have 3 different subscriptions for the similar service. So they have Hulu, Disney Plus, and Netflix all together, and it's supposed to be seen as normal. Streaming services, meal kits, and beauty box subscriptions have turned once occasional indulgences into a monthly expenses that consumers feel like they can't live without. I personally cannot be balancing all these subscriptions. I maintain very few subscriptions. One, because it's just expensive and a money pit in my opinion, and they are hoping you forget about it so you continue to pay and they continue to make that money. But then also, I don't feel like I can have the time to utilize each service enough to feel like I'm getting my money's worth. One subscription for entertainment, and that's Netflix, and it's like the basic Netflix because I feel like I don't even go on there and use it enough to get my money's worth of. So yes, I'm that one person with Netflix who asked me like, who signed up for it? I did. I don't mind the ads at all. And next is influencer culture. This has really negatively impacted us because 15 years ago when influencers were really becoming a thing, these are real people who had very little incentive to promote certain products in the way that they do now. A lot of them were being honest. They were in their bedrooms. They didn't really know the potential, and they weren't really trying to build connection with companies the way they are today, mostly because they didn't know what it was going to become. So a lot of them were honest. They were trying to serve their viewers, their customer base. Now today, it looks like their customer base are the companies, and they're trying to serve them by selling you whatever they can. So they get paid enough to promote a product, even if they don't like it, even if they don't use it, even if they will never use it and never recommend it to somebody they actually love. They are incentivized to promote it to you. Social media influencers create aspirational lifestyles that present luxury and excess as attainable norms. Their perfectly curated content fuels the idea that anything less is inadequate. For example, having a 10-step skincare routine that costs $500, and they may see that as very normal, something that you should be doing because you want good skin, right? But those are clear luxuries. You don't need a 10-step skincare routine in your life for it to be normal. It's not a one-time $500 you're going to spend. You're going to be spending this months after months because those products run out, expire. Something else is going to come on. Something trendier is going to come, and then you're going to want to buy into that. It is a never-ending cost once you start. But why are we talking about this? What are the consequences of misclassification of wants? Well, let's just start with the basic, which is financial. The cycle of debt is one of the biggest things you risk when you misclassify your wants as your basic necessities for living. It feels like you can't take it out of your budget if you have to. Let's say that, God forbid, lose your job. You're trying to find a new job, but in between that time, you didn't have a fully funded emergency fund. Or maybe you did, but only enough for 2 months. But this job process, it looks like it's going to take 3 or 4. But because you have had this idea that getting facials, makeup, massages, or even your daily coffees are necessities in life, you will continue to do it because now they're out of habit. In the time when you will benefit from taking it out of your budget and rather focusing on your basic necessities, you will find it very hard to. So you will more likely not rely on debt to fill in the gaps where you can't. It could also be like you're trying to save for a new goal, buying a car in cash, maybe saving for down payments on a house, or even like your fully funded emergency fund because you don't want to be in a situation where you're in a difficult situation and don't have money. But you still find it hard to take out those affordable luxuries out of your budget because you feel like you need this to survive. It's part of your basic necessities. It's part of what makes life even worth living. So instead of taking out the optional clothes, the daily coffees, going out and hanging out with friends to eat, going to the bar and buying overpriced drinks, you will feel like you can't because that is part of your lifestyle. It's part of your lifestyle. How can you get rid of it? The next consequence is living paycheck to paycheck. With lifestyle inflation, this is becoming a reality for many people, even high earners. And now people are saying that making $100,000 is not enough to live and that you need to make $250,000 as an individual to have a decent life, and you will have to have $500,000 as an income for a family. Does that even make sense? The median individual income in the United States is $41,000. I'm not saying that that's a good life. People are out here making it work. The median income for families is still under $80,000. So obviously, people are surviving. Debt is included, but it's not doubling their income. Not having $500,000 a year, it's not stopping them from being able to make it. A lot of people are managing just fine off of one income for their household, and it's not a high one. But because of what people are adding to what a family budget looks like, they're easily getting this mental image that unless they're making $500,000 a year, they're going to struggle. And I know the cost of living is increasing over and over again, but we're not there yet, people. We are just not there yet. Then the next consequence is what a lot of Americans have experienced, which is a deficiency in your savings. Money that could be going towards savings is rather going towards spending. Americans have a hard problem spending. Even when you make a lot of money, a lot of Americans just are not built to save. Always more to buy, always more to want, and therefore you're just never going to be happy with what you have. We live in a society of overconsumption. So naturally, unless you are budgeting and actually taking the action to intentionally save, you're going to more likely than not just end up spending your money, and you're going to wonder, where did my money go? It went to your wants. And the last but absolutely least consequence is an increase in your financial stress. Even though you're spending on all of your wants that are supposed to make you feel better, and these are self-care items that are supposed to help make life a little easier, you cannot escape the financial stress that you know is happening, especially if you're going deeper and deeper into debt. Every extra cup of coffee, even if you're paying cash, but you have debt, credit card debt, that must as well be you buying coffee with debt. Those coffees add up quickly, especially when you are already in debt. And a lot of people feel like they are just stuck in a place where they don't know what to do. They don't know where to turn. But you may not be there yet. So let's stop what we're doing that is getting us deeper and deeper into debt so that we don't have to be in a place where we feel helpless. Most people have a very manageable amount of debt. There are few amount of people who have overwhelming debt, and we often hear those and we think, oh my goodness, is this everybody? No, that's not everybody. Most people just have an average amount of debt. Know your situation and let it not make you feel comfortable that, oh, I can go into more debt, but rather you have debts that you can manage and pay off and live a better life and have a better quality of life when you don't have that financial stress. I've never seen anybody who got out of debt and said, I regret paying off my debt. You know what? I wish I was in more debt. You can always get back into debt. It's so easy. Just go and max your credit card today and bam, you're back in debt. So try being debt free, and if you hate it so much, you can go straight back into debt if it feels better for you and more comfortable. The average American household is about $6,000 in credit card debt. They have more debt, of course, with the car payments. Americans love their big cars. Some people have had car payments their entire adult life. Then they have personal loans and then mortgages. So there's a lot of debt to go around. And when it comes to the $6,000 in credit card debt, it averages about 20% in interest. And if you're not paying it off, that is an additional $1,200 per year added on. And that's if they're not even going into deeper debt. And high interest debt makes it incredibly difficult to get ahead financially, as much of the income goes towards servicing debt rather than building wealth. And throughout this, I have talked a little bit about social media. But what is the role of social media in this unrealistic standard of living? Truthfully, social media platforms such as Instagram and TikTok and even YouTube have exacerbated this problem when it comes to what standard of living should be like. Everybody on social media makes six figures, and they're still struggling. And it's easy to believe that when you see someone on social media promoting hyperconsumption and you're wondering where they're getting all this money from. And just overall unrealistic standard of living. Let's start with the aesthetics lifestyle. The word of the 2020 so far is probably aesthetics on social media. Influencers take a lot of pride and time to create a highly curated day in my life video showcasing luxury brands, expensive coffee shops, and exotic travels, all positioned as normal life. Somebody's going to Pilates every day and a session might be $100, or they're having private coaches. They seem to be going on vacations every single month. Why can't I afford that? I should be able to go on vacation every single month, but I can't. So therefore, their life is what mine should look like as well. At least that's what we tell ourselves. The next thing is microtrends. And now microtrends is not just in fashion, it's in everything. Fast fashion and beauty trends change rapidly, encouraging consumers to consistently buy newer and more products to stay relevant. We have to understand that for some people, this is their job. This is my everyday collection. This is what I'm buying today and doing hauls, but that's their job. For us, it's not the same. And that's okay. We have to understand what we're being marketed to when somebody's doing a job versus what our everyday life should look like. But microtrends have really affected the way we think about our clothes, our fashion, our skincare, products that we use on a day-to-day basis overall. But probably the most devastating thing that social media has perpetuated is comparison culture. The highlight reels nature of social media makes it easy to feel inadequate if you're not living up to somebody else's seemingly perfect life. And that's the key word. Seemingly perfect. Most people are not showing their 24/7, and honestly, I don't want to see it. I know people always say something like, oh, we want to see when they're crying and stuff. I personally don't want to see it. I think we should all have the common sense and media literacy to know that most of us present the best part of our day on social media and the things that we want to share. We want to keep some privacy to ourselves. That's what other people are doing as well. I never post a picture of me boo-hoo crying or video spilling my personal business on here or my Instagram page because I want privacy and I don't want to share stuff like that. If other people don't want to share, I'm not assuming it's because they never get angry, nothing in their life is wrong, everything is perfect. That is just not life. Just as you go through ups and downs, everybody goes through that as well. It's an important thing to remind yourself when using social media. And when you're going on social media, know that this is for entertainment purposes only. You might find some gems here and there, but overall, take everything you see with a grain of salt. Or actually with a whole couple of salt. Now with AI and people lying and flexing culture, we just have to be smarter about the way we consume social media. So what are the solutions? We just don't want to talk about the problem. We need solutions as to how we can prioritize our needs over our wants and put ourselves on a path towards financial independence, financial success, and building our wealth, what people can't see, versus trying to look rich, wanting everything in life, because you'll never stop wanting. We will always want more and more and more. Even if you have made $1 million per year, you will still have lots of wants that you're not going to be able to tap into. Someone who's clearing $1 million per year in salary still cannot afford a private jet. So you're always going to have wants. But how can we prioritize our needs? Let's see. The first thing is to create a budget. And when you create it, acknowledge what is essential parts of your living and what is a want. I always like to put splurge funds in my budget, but if push comes to shove, which it has, I am ready to lower that amount. I'm ready to take it all the way down to zero just so that my needs can be prioritized. I've said the story before, but when I was paying off my car, I cleared so much of my discretionary spending so I can focus on paying it off early. And I was so happy to be able to do it in less than a year. But if I had maintained my standard of living, kept all that I thought were wants, it would not be until next year, 2026, March, that I would have finished paying off my car. But instead, I was able to pay it off in 2023. The next thing you want to do is limit your social media exposure. Like brain rot culture has become a thing, but it's not healthy. Being on social media all day and consuming that content does so much more damage than it does of good. And I say this as somebody who likes social media. I use social media to to get content for this channel, also as entertainment, and overall just trying to learn things and what's going on in this world, because I'm not really a TV person. So social media is my form of entertainment, but I like to acknowledge that this is entertainment. But one thing I would always do is make it my personal business to curate my For You page. When I see something that is not conducive to my mental, physical, emotional health, financial health, spiritual health, I block it. I went through a specific time last year where I was blocking all these influencers and celebrities who I felt negatively impacted society and my life, and I didn't want to see any content from them. I went there and I blocked them. Even those that I never followed, I still block them. And whenever I see any type of content, news that happens come on my For You page, or when I'm scrolling, I block it and I let the algorithm know that I do not want this content on my feed. So take the steps. It's your For You page. You cannot control everything about the algorithm, but the algorithm knows what you like and it gives you more of what you enjoy and things that are similar to what you currently enjoy. So do not positively reinforce the algorithm with these types of content that are not conducive to your growth, to your financial growth, emotional growth, educational growth. Block it. Be aggressive with self-protection, with your self-worth, with your self-esteem. These things all contribute to it. So don't be afraid to block it if you have to. I'm not judging and nobody else will. It's about your personal health. Take it seriously. The next thing that would really help is embracing a mindset of financial minimalism. I consider myself somewhat of a minimalist, and it started 2019, prioritizing quality over quantity, whether it comes to products, clothes, just the way I live overall. Quality over quantity and things that are lasting. But even then, I'm not going to justify spending so much money on, say, a coffee table, buying a $5,000 coffee table because I think it's going to last forever. At that point, it's not even worth it. Purchasing one for maybe $200-300 would do the same job. So you still want to make sure that you're being realistic. It may not always seem like the easier choice, but when you embrace a financial minimalist mindset, life starts to change and look different. Know that it's not about how much you can have, but it's about the quality of what you do. Ensure that you actually like the things that are around you. That's why I find it so hard to possibly buy. I don't want a bunch of crap around me. When you have too many things around you, that's the state of your mindset. So clearing out things, having space, having the things that you actually want around you rather than collecting a bunch of junk, puts you on a path towards financial success. Not just because you're saving money, but also your mind will be clear to focus on your actual goals and your needs rather than impulse purchasing. The next one also goes similarly, which is delayed gratification. So if you can't buy that cheap $5 shirt, you could wait till you have enough money to buy a quality shirt or have one made of quality that will last you a long time. But learning how to exercise delayed gratification is an important part of our life all over, not just our financial life, but life overall. Knowing when we can be like, this is something I want, but not right now. Not right now. I'm not saying never, just not right now. And when we learn to tell ourselves not right now, when we learn to tell ourselves that we can have it all, but just not all at the same time, our perspective starts to shift, our actions start to change, and our finances start to look different. The next thing that would help some people is to use cash or debit cards. I am not against credit cards. I use credit cards. I do have a few myself, but there's some people who just can't do it, and that's fine. Don't try to be like everybody else. Just because some people can use credit cards and they have 2% cash back, it's not worth the 29% APR if you're a type of person who just tend to overspend on credit cards. Get to know yourself, have patience with yourself, be kind to yourself, and if you're just the type of person who benefit from using debit only or cash only, do that for yourself, because overall in the long run, it will be a better fit for your life and the life that you want in the future than just trying to use a credit card now because it seems like it's cooler. And the last but absolutely not least solution is to automate savings. Always save. One of the easiest ways to automate savings is to open a 401k with your job where they can take out the money for a traditional 401k or a Roth 401k. So before you even see the money, you have saved. I've consistently been doing this since I was employed, and also HSA is a good one. But once that money even gets into your checking account, you can automate savings, scheduling for money to be sent straight to your savings or your investment account with every paycheck. This is something that you can set up automatically, Or if you're like me, I like to get deep down in the numbers. I like to be transparent in money myself. So I just like to keep a day to do all of that. But if it makes it easier to automate savings, do so. That was the last solution. So let's head into the conclusion. Distinguishing between needs and wants is imperative to achieving financial independence and peace of mind. Society's shift towards treating luxuries as necessities has led to higher debt, lower savings rates, and increased financial stress. By embracing mindful spending, setting realistic financial goals, and resisting the pressure of social media, you can build a life of financial freedom that is rooted in genuine fulfillment rather than fleeting materialism. True wealth comes from living intentionally, not chasing after the illusion of luxury. And with that, I'm bringing this video to an end. Thank you all so much. If this video added value to your life, be sure to like it. Share with somebody you think you'll be helpful towards. Also, be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and ring the notification bell so you do not miss out on any of my future videos. Come back to this channel on Monday for my next video, and let me know in the comment section, do you think that we are conflating our wants with our needs more and more? How has that affected you, and how has that affected the people around you as well? I look forward to reading your comments. Thank you all again, and I'll see you on Monday. Bye.